Hey y'all, I am taking us live for 15 minutes, nothing too fancy tonight. Just wanted to spend some time talking with folks about burnout. So, burnout. I don't know about you. This is something that I have a pretty intimate experience with. I had one really challenging experience with burnout about 5 years ago. I think I was working probably 12 hours a day. I was not exercising. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was kind of moving all of the commitments that I had to myself to the back burner in order to do work. And it got pretty bad, like to the point that when I went home to visit my mom and talk with her, I spent most of the weekend crying and upset and feeling ineffective and miserable about work. And we had a discussion where she said, I wonder if maybe you're just feeling a little burnt out. And I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling, whether it's a work situation or life or just the stress that we continue to sit in. So I wanted to talk about burnout today, both because it's an experience that happens to so many of us, but also because of the situation that we are in right now in COVID. So burnout is a technical term. This is a phenomenon that's largely studied in the workplace, although we're seeing a lot more conversation happen about it personally. And the idea is that there are kind of like three main indicators. The first is just real energy depletion and exhaustion. The second is feeling this like increased mental distance from your job. Like you're just not as into it. You're not as into doing the work that you do, or you don't think that the work that you do is actually that important. And then the third is feeling like you're not actually successful at it. So like this decreased sense of efficacy. And most of the research around burnout is kind of currently sitting in the workplace, as I said before, but we're seeing a lot more anecdotal and story-based evidence now, particularly about burnout and how it's affecting mothers as they are taking on more of the remote learning responsibilities, home-based responsibilities, and continuing to do their full-time jobs. So it's important for us to really understand kind of what burnout could look like so that we can address it, because this is really manifesting for the people I work with as I feel like I'm not good at anything. I feel like I'm not that great of a parent. I'm not that great of a spouse. I'm not that great of a worker. And it just is really causing people to not only feel the burnout, but then to feel bad about the burnout. So there are lots of different ways to kind of deal with burnout. And we have a new free resource that you can download. Just go to the link in our bio. That will kind of walk you through kind of four main areas. But the one that I really want to dig into today is something that has absolutely captivated me, which is kind of about the physicality of burnout. So Brene Brown did an amazing podcast with two authors, Emily and Amelia Nagoski, I think is how you pronounce her last name. And they wrote a book called Burnout. And it talks about how we basically experience the emotion of stress, because burnout is directly tied to the experience of stress and the ongoing instances of stress. And they talk in the book about how stress, like any emotion, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's really important to process that emotion all the way through. And they use kind of this analogy of it's like walking through a tunnel. And what a lot of people do is they get stuck somewhere in the middle of the tunnel, and they're not actually taking the time and the energy to process the stress. Another thing that they talk about, which is so important to honor and recognize and understand, is that our emotions manifest in our body. They are in our bodies. And this is it's just very uncommon in our culture to really know this and to understand this and to honor the body, because there's this very kind of like Western idea that like it's all mind over matter, or that you can divorce your brain and your feelings from your body, and like it's not true. And so the way that we actually can process stress and actually go through this emotion of it has a lot to do with recognizing where it is in our body and in our physicality, and then also using our physicality to move through it. Now, I am not Brene Brown. I cannot talk through this like she can. I am not these amazing authors, Emily and Amelia. The book is fantastic, so I definitely recommend you get it. But what I want to highlight here for you are some things that you can do immediately, because I don't know about you, but right now I'm starting to feel my stress a little bit more. I'm feeling it in my back. I'm feeling it rise up in my throat and my body. I'm feeling it in headaches at the end of the day. And so the first step is really just recognizing when you're in a stressful state and how that's showing up in your body. Then the second thing is to actually move through the emotion, to go through the tunnel. So one of the recommendations is to get moving, to do exercise, to do, they actually talk about one exercise you can do where you just tense up your entire body for a minute while you're sitting in front of your computer waiting for a meeting to start, and then release your body. Another recommendation is to do breath work. So just really deep breaths in and really full breaths all the way out, emptying all the air from your body for 90 seconds. These are really simple things, but they actually have chemical and physical benefits that help you to process and siphon off, which I love the term, siphon off stress. Another thing is positive social interaction. So I love this. Have you ever noticed that you feel so much better about yourself in the world when you compliment someone's earrings or tell the lady at school drop off that you really love her shirt? It's stuff like that, but it's also sending emails to colleagues who you really just want to celebrate and show gratitude to. It's telling your loved one that you're grateful that they emptied the dishwasher, but just finding ways to have those experiences help us to feel the connection that is so necessary to reduce stress. And then another one that I really love is a 20-second long, warm hug with someone who you deeply love. And there's some science and research in the book about how effective that is. So those are kind of the physical ways that we can begin to process through stress. And I think what I'll encourage you to think about is how are you... What are you going to put in your toolbox so that you can pull on it later? When you're in that moment of feeling super stressed, how are you going to pull on it? For me, these days, I absolutely have to get outside and I absolutely have to exercise. I'm really feeling a need to be doing at least 30 minutes a day of walking or running or, just really getting my heart pumping. And so that becomes kind of my go-to. If I can't do that, then I'm trying to dance in the living room with my kids or do some jumping jacks or something that helps me to move that stress through my body. So those are my go-to tools in my toolbox. The second thing I'm going to encourage you to do is think about how you're simply just taking care of yourself. So in the tool that we have for you in our bio, one of the things that we talk about is we have to schedule ourselves first. I think it's pretty common when you get busy and there's a lot going on for you to say, you know what, I'm just I'm just gonna push my workout. I'm gonna push this thing that I need to do to get things done for other people. And that doesn't serve anybody, including ourselves. And so by putting yourself on your calendar first, by blocking off the 15, 20, 30 minutes a day that you know is for you or for your exercise or for what is going to make you feel more whole and less stressed, that is going to be very important for you to honor. And I know that a lot of us have so much going on right now, the idea of taking time to ourselves is really challenging. I'm going to tell you from personal experience and a lot of observation of hundreds of clients and people that if you don't do that, the rest of the time that you're spending on everything else is actually less productive. So if you need to think of this as a tool for productivity, fine. If you're shifting your thinking to thinking about investing in yourself to move through stress, that's great too. But it's really important to schedule yourself first. So that's really our first recommendation around dealing with burnout. And I'm going to go live next Thursday and the Thursday after to talk about our next two recommendations. The first one of that will be how do you actually decrease the demands on your time and decrease the actual stressors, the actual things that are causing the stress. And then the next recommendation will be around how do you bring people around you to support you? Because one of the biggest pieces of recovering from burnout is actually getting the support that you need, being in community and ensuring that other people are holding your wellness with the same regard that you are for yourself and that you are for them. So my recommendation, take some time to think about the tools you'll put in your toolbox: breathing, exercise, movement, whatever that needs to be. And then the second is, how are you going to spend time scheduling yourself first? And perhaps this Sunday is a great time to look at the week ahead and block those things out. But in the meantime, go ahead and grab our new tool. It's totally free. It's for you to use. Give it a shot and let us know how it's going. All right. Y'all be well.